How's it, everyone? Welcome back to this week's episode of the Happy to Be a podcast. My name is Josh, and this podcast is dedicated to asking the true questions our generation is wrestling with concerning life, faith, and mental health, and finding honest answers together. Today's a little bit different as we don't have a guest on, but I really wanted to kind of share a bit more about the journey of how Happy to Be came to be and give you guys a little bit of insight into the vision. How Happy to Be kind of started was, funny enough, a friend of mine actually lent me their hat, and it had the phrase "Happy to be here" on the front. And I was kind of like, "Oh, this is it's pretty cool," you know. I kept seeing the hat every time I wore it. Every time I wake up in the morning, I was sitting on my side table, and I was like, I really want to do something with this. I keep seeing this name. I keep seeing this idea of I kind of came home the one day, sat down, and I was like, okay, if I were to come up with something let me write a vision about what Happy to Be it would be. And so I pulled out my notebook, and I was like, okay, wrote down the name Happy to Be It, and I was like, okay, what would this be? And originally the focus was kind of on creating kind of clothing and stuff, and it's kind of shifted now, obviously more towards podcasting. But I kind of set out to say that Happy to Be is a brand focused on creating a positive change in the minds of young people. So the vision originally behind Happy to Be it kind of was focused towards creating something that can cause conversation, something that's striking to the eye. Because the phrase that you see, Happy to Be, it's a very powerful thing, because a lot of the time for most people, maybe that is something they're struggling with, finding joy in life and everything that's going on. So the idea shifted a bit more towards podcasting through my journey with Mr. Teen World South Africa, as I'd set out for my year of reign to be a strong advocate for mental health, especially with young people and my generation specifically. And funny enough, we had an evaluation show. Sadie came to my mom because I was able to share about my journey a bit more, and she said, "Oh, I love hearing Josh speak. Is he anywhere? Does he have a talk show or podcast or something?" And funny enough, my dad had kind of had it on his heart for about 2 weeks prior about maybe doing a podcast or something. So kind of sat down, kind of created a little bit of an idea behind it, and I shared the vision that I kind of wrote down with them about Happy to Be as a whole, and they were kind of "Oh, this is sick." And so stuck the name to the podcast, and I think it's been amazing. I've had a bit of an interesting journey to probably get to this point of having a podcast. I think originally moving here, I didn't really know anyone, and was really looking for community, and I think I'm blessed enough to have surfing, as that really collected me with a lot of good friends and mates that I've known for years now. And I think through that, it's it's brought me to through ups and downs and everything that's gone on in life. And I am one of 2 siblings, so it's myself and my sister. And my younger sister, she's a ball of energy, very infectious personality. When she comes into the room, she's there. And funny enough, she's the reason that I kind of started modeling, and it's kind of led me onto this path. So about a year, last year, beginning of the year, she came to me and she was like, "Josh, it's New Year, modeling's starting again. I want you to join." And I was like, I don't know about that. Because I think for me, always growing up, I've been kind of a bit more introverted, so I'm not a big public speaking kind of guy. But I was like, you know what, I'll give it a crack. And then, started doing it, had so much fun, and I was like, yo, this is really cool, and then, hit the first big challenge we had to face, which was walking and smiling in front of people, doing pageantry. And I was like, yo, bruh, I don't like smiling in front of people. This is so gnarly. And kind of touched a bit on it last week, but kind of getting through that fear boundary really opened so many doors for me, because I wouldn't be doing what I did here now or here today if I never came through that fear. And so I kept modeling, kept pursuing it, and my sister, funny enough, competed in a pageant called Miss Teen World South Africa, and she finished in the top 5. And was named an ambassador for World South African pageants and received a title Miss Teen Grand International. where she went overseas to compete in Lima, Peru, and finished fourth in the world, which was a really amazing achievement for her. But her and my mom were like, Josh, you should enter as well. And I was like, yo, guys, I just started modeling. Let's not go that heavy into it right now. But I was like, you know what, like next year. So anyway, this year comes around, and I was kind of like, had my eyes set on going to Australia for like a little gap year. And unfortunately, my visa didn't get approved, which like really sucked. And I was like, bro, like I was supposed to be in Oz and I'm still here. And then my mom came to me, she's like, remember the conversation we had last year about, Mr. Teen World? And I was like, yeah, I do remember that one. Let's give it a crack. So entered the pageant, slowly like worked towards it, became a finalist, and then, spent about a month and a half preparation, like really grinding it out, getting prepared. Then came the evening, the day and evening, and your nerves were high, I won't lie, but kind of left it all out there and was super blessed enough to walk away with the title and become Mr. Teen World South Africa 2025, which is an amazing achievement for me. Somebody who only started modeling like almost a year and 8 months ago, so almost 2 years now. And I think I'm really blessed to see, the favor and the grace the Lord has had on my life in this season with, modeling and everything that I'm doing. And I think from there, I like set out to, use my year of rain to be a strong advocate for mental health for young people. Last week we had my good friend Dan Emsley on, who's a pro surfer up and coming. And it was kind of a different vibe from the first episode. And I thought I'd kind of wanted to explain a little bit more about why we had Dan on. So obviously Dan's a really good friend of mine, and I was kind of curious to sit down and have a conversation with him about like the mental space of being a professional athlete and like being involved in like those high intensity situations of like playing your sport at the highest level, being in heat, surfing against other surfers with like a lot on the line, And I think the conversation kind of flowed in the direction that I didn't expect it to go, but we kind of touched on the topic of fear and like spoke a lot about that. And I kind of realized afterwards, like, hey, maybe not everyone kind of understands like what the identity of the brand is or the identity of the podcast is. And so when I originally designed the logo with my dad, I came to him and I was like, I have these 3 icons that I think will look really cool, kind of inspired by like Riviera Projects and their icons that they had in their logo. The three icons I settled on was like a little fin, like this like little mountain shape, and then kind of like this like plant kind of thing. And so the icons represented surf, adventure, and wellness. The identity I want Happy to Be Here to carry into is like we strongly at our core and want to have like be conversational. We want to have a conversation. We want to talk. We want to ask questions. We want to learn. So that's why I was like, obviously surfing, growing up in Jeffreys Bay, huge surfer. So I was like, obviously going to have surfing in there. Also like adventure, like going out, exploring, going on missions, going hiking, camping, all these cool things, all these adventurous like stuff you can do. And then the wellness aspect, like, it's important to have your mental wellness in check, but how's your emotional wellness? How's your spiritual wellness? How's your physical wellness thing? And all these things are really important, especially like for me and who I am, but also in the identity of the brand. Because I was like, my focus is to connect with people and have conversations around mental health. These are also like offshoots of that. So I think that's kind of the vision and like the identity of the brand and what we're trying to do here. And I think it's been amazing as well just to see how much everyone's been really enjoying these episodes. We recently hit 1,000 subscribers about a week in, which was amazing. I think for me as well, I was like, I've never made a YouTube channel, so this is like pretty big. But I think it's been really amazing to see you guys come along and support what we're doing here and, watching the videos. And I'd love for, in the comment section, if you guys can put some questions, like things you're curious about, things you'd love for us to talk about for future on the podcast. I'd love to hear what you guys are curious about as well, because that was a big thing for me is like, I want to be at the head of the charge, being the person that's asking the questions. But, maybe I'm not asking all the questions that you guys want to hear. So I'd love to hear what you guys love me to talk about, topics you'd love me to cover, and people and friends I can invite on to, shed some light into those areas and for us to grow and learn together. Thank you so much for the support so far. It's been amazing. We're only 3 episodes in, and really looking forward to next week's episode as well. It's going to be awesome. But yeah, please, if you loving what we're doing here, please subscribe and check out the 2 previous videos with Dan and Johan. Really got a lot of great information and insight there from 2 amazing individuals. And yeah, this has been a bit of a different one for me, talking just to you guys. But yeah, we'll catch you next week. Have a good one.